Good morning, y'all. I hope you're all staying safe, taking care of yourselves. I was trying to think of what I might say to y'all today, and a few days ago I had a thought as I was lying in bed. You see, some of you know this about me, but others of you may not know. I am one of those people who unfortunately gets nasty migraine headaches from time to time. I have my whole life, for as long as I can remember. They're just genetic. And thankfully, they're not as severe as they were even 10 years ago, and I don't need special medication or anything to deal with them. But I can pretty much guarantee that once or twice a month, I'm going to have some period of time, anywhere from 12 hours to several days, where I am pretty much useless to the world. When I have a migraine, I just have to lie down and wait it out. Well, this past week was one of the rare 3 to 4 days of on-again, off-again migraine. But as I said, I was lying there in bed one afternoon with the migraine not bad enough to have to sleep it off and not light enough to actually be able to do anything. And I got to thinking. Many years ago, I found myself trying to think of what sort of good could come out of these migraines for me. How could I see God at work in them? And especially as I got older and found myself more in the world of self-responsibility, I found that one thing that the migraines have given me is this level of acceptance that some days are just not going to be what I expected. Some days are just going to be low days. Some days I'm going to have to cancel plans at the last minute. Some days I'm going to have to miss events. Some days people who were expecting me to be there are just going to have to do without. Some days I'm not going to be productive at all, even on the rare days when I actually want to get stuff done. And I have no say in the matter. And while the migraines have continue to show me just how frustrating that is, especially when you're on day 3 of getting nothing checked off your to-do list, after years of this being a regular part of my life, they've also shown me that having those off days, while not pleasant, can also be okay. A long time ago, I came to see these migraine days as a sort of enforced Sabbath, an enforced time of rest. Sometimes your body needs to sleep for 20 hours, and that's one way to get it done. They've also shown me that most things in life can wait. Tasks can be pushed back, deadlines can be rearranged, and even the final exam I had to miss one year was okay to reschedule with a very understanding professor. The things that often seem so fixed in life can and sometimes will have to be rearranged. And that's okay. And in ways that are both hard to hear but also helpful, I've long since learned that I am not personally essential to the running of any organization or event. If I have to miss something once because of an unexpected migraine, it'll be okay. The world will keep spinning without me. And maybe people will appreciate me a little more when I'm back to normal. Anyway, as I was waiting on this most recent migraine to move on, I got to thinking about just how much this whole experience of isolation and lying low can teach us about who we are, about how we need to take care of ourselves, and about how we need to let things go that are outside of our control, and about how hard of a lesson that is for so many of us. I was talking to a friend, another minister back in the States, on Monday, and she's been increasingly feeling like she has to hold everything together. I think she's the only one who understands technology and doing all of the online things for church especially. And she sent me a text just sort of out of the blue and said, "Hey, I'm feeling really awful today. I just need someone to tell me it's okay to go lie down for a while." And I was like, yes, by all means, go lie down and take care of yourself. But it just drove home this struggle that so many of us have with feeling like we have to carry everything. Like we have to hold ourselves and our families and our jobs and our churches and our perfect homes and our perfect gardens and all the rest of it, that we have to hold it to some standard that's sometimes even higher than what we'd expect of ourselves in normal times. That if we let even one thing go, it's all going to fall apart. Now, some of us have those tendencies every day of our lives. Some of us find ourselves getting more worked up over it in times like these of high stress. But all of us could probably use that reminder every now and again that things aren't always going to go to plan. That we're not always going to be able to do all that we expect to do. that others aren't going to always be able to be as together as they usually are, and that that's all okay. Not necessarily pleasant all the time, but okay. I was thinking of different scripture readings that might resonate with this whole idea, and I had the usual ones come into my head. Themes of taking a Sabbath, of being still and knowing that God is there, of going away to a quiet place, of trusting. But the one that kept popping into my head actually comes from a fairly apathetic book of the Bible, from Ecclesiastes. It says, "For everything there is a season, and a time for every matter under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up what is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to throw away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace." And half of those things are not good. There's no way we could ever think of them as good. There's no way we could think of them as something God has given us as a lesson or a trial to overcome. God doesn't do that. They're things that just are. Ups and downs that are a part of life, the good and the bad. And the Bible doesn't shy away from telling us that all of these things are normal. They're all, in some sense, okay. Because one thing that we do see again and again in some of the more hopeful places throughout Scripture is that we're not alone in facing all of those times. We don't sail through that storm by ourselves. We aren't stranded in the wilderness. We aren't left alone on the mountaintop. God is always with us, perhaps waiting for us to take notice, perhaps guiding us to see some ways we can find good out of even hard situations. And so today, I suppose I would just encourage you to recognize that we are all in a difficult time, full of the unexpected and the frustrating and the anxiety-provoking and the heart-wrenching. In those times, it's okay to not have to hold the whole world together on our own. It's okay to let things loosen up a little bit. It's okay to take care of ourselves, to lighten the load, to take that forced Sabbath, as hard as it may seem sometimes. There's a time for every matter under heaven. This one is no different from all the rest, and it will pass. So in the meantime, let's take care of ourselves and others as we're best able. Let's give ourselves and others a bit of extra grace. Let's remember that we're not alone in this, that we're surrounded by those who get it, that we're always joined by a God who is there for us as well. And perhaps, maybe, we can even find some good out of this situation at some point. If not today, then maybe once it's all past. And so friends, go easy on yourselves and take care.